everybody, Andrew here. Sunday the 19th of January 2014. A short review, well, we'll see how short it ends up, but a review nonetheless of a new thing that I just got about 3 days, maybe 4 days ago. One of the things that I find amazing about vaping, many things I find amazing about vaping, but one of the areas that just fascinates me is the whole evolution of everything. I only started vaping maybe about 14, 15 months ago, something like that. And even then there was a fair amount of stuff available. But what's become available since, over the last year or so is just incredible. It's like everybody is coming up with good ideas and new ways of evolving things, making them more consistent, making them better, etc., etc. But one of the areas perhaps that was lacking a little bit, and that was for the clearomizer or glassamizer or tankomizer, whatever you want to call it. That is, basically a head where you can buy heads and actually put them into it, so they're not rebuildables. All of those were all of a sort of a certain size. They were relatively small in terms of diameter. But just recently, this came out. And this is the Nautilus by Aspire. And it's a 22mm glassamizer. And what that means is that because it's 22 mils wide, it will actually fit onto a full-size mod. And I think that is fantastic for a whole range of different reasons. But anyway, I'll show you it first. So here it is, and as I said, 22 mils in diameter, and it's a bit of an odd looking beast. It's got a 5mm tank in it. You can see the markings there, and then the name is actually on the glass there. This is Pyrex. Everything else is stainless steel, and as well as it being a 22mm glassamizer, one of the really cool things is you can see here there's an air control on it, which is just fantastic and works extremely well. So when you have this, as opposed to, say, there's another Aspire there, BDC. Again, this is bottom dual coil in this. But if you look at the two of them side by side, there's a huge difference. This is obviously made to go on an Ego battery. This is made to go on a full-size mod. So let's put it on full-size mod. What we do? Put it on a Provari first of all. Now there's a Provari Mini. There's a ring that goes on there to bring it back out to size. That's actually a ring that was got for the K-Fun. So that brings it back out to 22. And let's just screw this on and have a look at it. And there it is. Looks absolutely great on it. So let's have a little go. And it vapes great as well. So let's try it on a couple of other ones here. And by the way, I've finished up with, there's one that I love putting it on, and I think it looks just fantastic on it, so I'll leave that one to last. But here it is on a Nemesis. Again, looks very good. And then my favourite one for it, because for me this looks, it kind of looks very retro in a way. Now there's some people have been saying that they really don't like the look of it. To tell you the truth, I wasn't mad about it at the beginning, but it's sort of grown on me. So I'll put it onto something that I think it looks great on. And that is this, my brass Nemesis. And then if I take the drip tip off it, because obviously it's a normal 510 drip tip, so you can put anything you want on, and I'll put my little brass one onto it, then to me that just looks fantastic. Now somebody said to me, this sort of, the Nautilus, it looks a little bit like the old valves that you used to get in radios. It really looks like it's from 50 or 60 years ago. And then, well, in my personal opinion, it sitting on brass like that is, I think that just looks fantastic. And yeah, it just works a treat as well. Let's see, put it on the right hole there. And it's the business. Anyway, we'll talk a bit more about it afterwards. We'll go down close now and have a look at it. So this is the package that it comes in. Nice box, very well made. Picture on the front of the Nautilus. Nautilus adjustable airflow tank system. Made by Aspire. And yes, Aspire, life-changing. And then on the reverse, details about it, hologram, and what the actual contents are, plus as well some of the, you know, not for under 18s, etc. at the bottom there. Made in China. So let's just open it up. And inside there was another little sheet which is how to fill the tank, but I've managed to misplace it somewhere. But anyway, that's covered within this little booklet here. Again, I think it's nice to see with some of these things coming out of China now, and obviously other places as well, that what you're doing is you're getting a booklet that actually contains some useful information within it. It's not just coming in a little bag or, you know, a little sort of wrapper anymore. You know, you're getting it properly presented along with some detail. And within this here, it tells you about the airflow system, and then also, you know, how to fill the tank, etc., etc. So useful. So let's take this out. As you say, some people, you know, have commented on the look of it. It's grown on me, I have to say, the look of this. So I'll take that apart in a second. Then also we have our head, which again we'll look at more closely in a second or two. And then we have our beauty ring here, or our ego cone. So as I said before, the shape of this is actually and the look of this has actually grown on me. I have to say, I was a little bit put off at the beginning when I got it, but it's grown on me. So going from the bottom up, 510 connector here. We have the pin that's coming out. You can probably see there that it's not quite flush with the bottom. And what's more, it's actually sprung. So you can push it in and it'll then sort of push back out again. So this will ensure that whatever connector you put it into, it'll make good contact with it, because it'll be pushing down on it. It'll compress up against it. Around that, just on the inside, you can see that white stuff, that's an insulator there. Then we've our base here, which is stainless steel. As I said, the whole thing is stainless steel. Knurled here for being able to unscrew it from the top part here. Next up then we've got this ring, and this is a movable ring, and this is the airflow. So as I said, there are a number of sizes on it. So let's start with the first one. So that there is 0.9 of a millimeter. Then as we move up, that goes up to 1.1 millimeter. That is up to 1.4 millimeter. And then that is up to 1.8 millimeter. There's a little bit of liquid in there at the moment, but that's just because I had washed it earlier on. So again, a fantastic system, you know, that you're able to basically dictate the airflow, which is going to affect your vape in terms of the draw, and also in terms of the amount of vapor that it's going to produce. Also what it does, the smaller the hole, the harder you're pulling on it, the more liquid it's essentially going to be pulling into the chamber as well, because it's creating a bigger vacuum while you actually do it. Now the one thing that I think is also good about this is that when you do turn it around to each of the holes, it's like a, what do they call it, a bezel or something like that, so that it actually clicks into place in each case. So I don't know whether you can hear this. It just clicks into place in each case when it comes to the right point. One thing I think is sort of it makes no difference to it whatsoever. But if you look at that, when it clicks into place, the hole isn't bang in the center. Let's do it on the next one. There, that's clicked into place. And you see the hole is just slightly off. Now this seems to be the case in all of the ones that I've actually seen. So it's only an OCD issue, you know. It's not actually blocking off any of the holes, so it's not changing the size of the hole, but it's just, it would have been nice if that was completely in the center. Although on that one there, it looks like it pretty much is. So, moving up from there, and this really is an innovation, this because this works, this airflow really works. I think it's one of the big selling points of this. Another big selling point of this is this tank here. It holds 5 mils, which is as much as you'd hope for really in any tank, so a really decent amount of liquid. It's Pyrex as well, so it means that it won't be affected by any of the, you know, citrusy type juices, or any of the juices that are known to basically break down plastic tanks. So this is full on Pyrex, so it'll work beautifully, and it's excellent. They have here Aspire and Nautilus in a sort of a silver ink, silver metallic shiny ink on this. And then we've got 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters, up to 5 millimeters at the top. Now obviously these, when you look at them, they're at different intervals, but that's all relative to what's going on inside. Because obviously inside here, you've got, it's not uniform, you've got a sort of wider bit at the bottom, this piece of metal which is going over the head, which we'll have a look at in a second. And then on up to a narrower part. So obviously that means that these aren't going to be in regular places, because you know, the amounts of liquid held in the various different areas is going to vary as it goes up. Then at the top we've got again this top cap that goes on, and then into that the drip tip. And this drip tip here is the one that comes with it, which again is stainless steel and is perfectly good, but it also means that, you know, if you want to change it to something else, you know, you can put in, there's the brass one that I had in earlier on, or have I got something else there? There's just a black one to go in. So it just means that you can put whatever you like into it, and whatever's most comfortable for you. There's a lot of people don't like metal tips, you know, because the way they bang against their teeth and stuff. So, you know, plastic tips will go in perfectly as well. So that's that there. So what we'll do is take it apart. And as I mentioned earlier on, at the bottom we have this knurled piece, which is great because it means that you can then just unscrew the whole bottom section. So let's just take that off. And when you take it off, you'll be left with this, like that there. And then at the bottom, this, which has got the head inside it. Now, what can happen sometimes is that the head will come out with this, will stay inside there, in which case then you just need to unscrew it and screw it back into the bottom. So it's no big deal at all. So let's just look at the bottom here first. As I said, head here, so we can take the head out. It just, again, handy, there's knurling on the head here as well, so it means that it's easy to unscrew. So we can take the head out, and we'll look at the head now in a second. And then this is the inside. Now, it's from my cleaning out earlier on, it's just got a bit of liquid in there. But that's what we have there. And as we see down into the bottom, let me just, there would appear to be a spring. Yes, right at the bottom there's a spring, which is obviously what the bottom of the head here sits up against. And then that's probably something to do also with pushing this head back out. In fact, it definitely is, because I've just pushed this in here and it hasn't pushed back out again. So if I screw the head back in, we should see the bottom pushing out. Let's see if we do, and we do. That is now pushed out. So between this and this is a spring. I think that's good because it means that you're always going to have good contact down there. Okay, around this is this silicone, and this is the seal against which the Pyrex is going to sit. And again, I think that's great because it means, and I haven't had any leaking whatsoever, so the way it sits on it, the way it's sort of profiled there at the side means that you're going to get a perfect seal when the Pyrex actually sits onto it. Onto the tank, well, let's take this bit apart first of all. And here's the tank. Pyrex, really well made and quite thick as well. The bottom part of it here is beautifully rounded so that when it actually sits onto the silicon part at the bottom there, let's just see if you can see it there. You can see it pushes over a couple of ridges and then nestles down into a wider bit at the bottom to create a perfect seal. So that works really well. And obviously with the fact that this is cushioned, it means that this bottom part here isn't going to get chipped or cracked or anything like that. It's always just going to sit beautifully onto it. And again, you know, the fit is snug enough that when you actually pop it over it, you know, it stays in place. But obviously with the compression of the top screwing into the bottom, it's going to force that down to make sure that it's completely sealed. So again, very, very well made. As far as the tank is concerned, you know, with this writing on it and everything, I would imagine that this, you know, I can't imagine it's going to last that long. You know, who knows, maybe it will, but it wouldn't surprise me now if this wears off over time. Certainly I don't see any chips in it or any wearing so far, but I've only had it for a few days, so we'll see what happens there. Now what's interesting at the top with this is threaded. Now threaded glass is quite a rare thing and it's quite a dodgy thing as well, but in this case the threading, it's not on the outside, it's on the inside. You can hear it there. And what this screws into, if you can see here, is this part here screws into the inside of this. So apparently that makes a difference because threading into glass like this is much better than threading onto the outside of glass like this. So it just means that it's more stable. Looking at the top there as well, you can see there's similar silicone to this where you can maybe just see the sort of the bubbles inside it or the air pockets inside it or whatever, the cushioning. You can see a similar thing happening in there. So that the top of this, when screwed into this, seals into the top, into that silicone there. Again, making it completely, you know, completely watertight or whatever, so you won't get any leaking at all. So this part here at the end goes over the head. And there's the head. And when you're actually screwing it in, well, let's just put it in this way so you can see. So that obviously lives in there. This part here, when you screw the whole tank in, is actually screwing over the head like that. And then that's basically how it's going to work there. So let's take this out. And if this is the head and this is the cowling that goes on the top of it, then obviously in the center there, that's where the vapor is going to go to come out of the top here, you know, through your drip tip, like that. Okay, so let's look at the head. Now this one here, as I said, that comes with it is a 1.6. I don't know whether you'll be able to see that, but it's actually marked on it, 1.6 ohms. And the recommended voltage as well. I can't quite see that. I think is it 3.3 to 5? something like that. 3.3 to 5. And then the other head is this one here. Again, it's got a spire marked on it, and this is a 1.8 ohm head. So there you go, 1.8. Now on this one, I think it says 3.3 to 6 volts is what they're saying on this. But look, in the end, I think all of that is a guide. You know, what you'll find out if you've got a variable mod that you put this on, you're going to find your happy place. The other thing with this is, unlike the other Aspire heads, these have got 4 holes at the bottom. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Inside there, you can see the white stuff, that's a filler. That's what actually absorbs the liquid in through those holes. And then inside, you can see at the bottom, there is, you can see 1 coil at the top, and you may be able to see a second coil at right angles to it underneath. And those coils, if you look at the sides of them, the wicks that are going through the coils, those wicks are touching off the sides. And the sides there are coated in this absorbent material, which you can see through there. So essentially what happens is that the liquid leaches in through there, saturates the walls of this, and then the wicks, which are touching onto the walls, then draw the liquid into the center to the coil. And that's how it works. And it seems to be a system that works extremely well. You very rarely get flooding or anything like that. It just seems to do the job. So if we look at this head here, these heads have been made specifically for the Nautilus. A lot of talk about the Aspire heads from the normal Aspires, from the likes of, you know, the BDC, or this one here, the ES something or other, I can't remember what it's called. And these ones here take these sort of heads, which again, same thing. In this case, it's got 2 holes, 1, 2. And again, you can see inside there the coils and the wicks. And it's exactly the same system, but it is completely different. So if I hold them side by side, you can see they're totally different. So you will not be able to use the standard Aspire heads, these ones here, within the Nautilus. The Nautilus needs these specific ones here. So that's a bit of a shame, but at the same time, to me, at the moment, these seem to work better than these. Now, these have been getting a little bit of bad press recently because there seems to be a bit of a quality control issue with these. When these are working properly, they are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic things. But I have heard quite a few reports of people saying that, you know, a number of the heads that they get if they buy a pack of 5, that sometimes one or 2 of them just aren't working properly. They got a burnt taste or, you know, whatever. So there does seem to be a quality control issue with those. My understanding is that even though they're all coming out as Aspire heads, I think they're being made in a number of different factories. And maybe it is that some factories are doing it properly and the other ones aren't. But either way, I think they're going to have to get their act together. So what's going to happen with these heads, I have no idea. I would hope that the quality control on these will be higher than the quality control on their little brothers, these ones here. Because after all, if you're paying 30 odd euro for a Nautilus, and then you're paying €2.50 a head or something like that, €2.50 a head, you are going to want to make sure that every head that you get in is going to be working properly. So I would imagine that there will be a lot of pressure on them from the vendors or whatever if people start getting bad versions of these heads. And frankly, there's no reason for them to. They know how to make them properly. They work fantastically well. And so here's hoping that they just keep the quality control up on these. If they do, these things are a winner. They work fantastically. Right, let's put it all back together then. We'll go this first. So this here into here, and then screw it up. Now, remember, this is glass, so you don't want to screw it up too tight. The other thing is that there is silicone on the inside, as I showed you, so you don't have to screw it up that tight for it to actually, you know, create the seal at the top. So just screw it so that it's firmly in place. Don't over tighten it. Down at the bottom here, as I said, and now let's put back in the 1.6 head, which is the one that I had in it. So this just simply goes into the bottom here. And screw it up until it's tight, and that's all done there. So everything fine. So after that, we're basically ready to fill this up. Now, filling it up is, and again, I think this is another advantage to this, is they're very, very easy to fill. Obviously, they can take a lot of liquid, but also they're very easy to empty out, so that if you wanted to change a head, if you wanted to change the liquid or whatever, you can literally just unscrew it and then just pour the liquid out, which is great. It's not always that easy with some of these things to do that, but in this case it couldn't be easier. So let's get some liquid. I'm going to go for one of my current favorites, Childproof Top, which is always good, but difficult to work with one hand. And so what I have here is Custard Cream by Mrs. Lord & Co. So all we need to do is basically just put this down the side, fill it up, and obviously you don't want to go above the metal piece there, so something like that is fine, or you could even go a little bit further, but that should be fine there. Then all we do is just pop that in there like that, screw it down, and again with this, you don't need to screw it down too tight, because it's making a perfect seal here with the silicone at the bottom. So that is now filled up, and it's actually, I've got it just over 5 mils, so it'll take more than 5 mils when you put it in. And that's it. The Aspire Nautilus. Right, let's put on the little beauty ring that it comes with, which will fit onto any Ego style battery, like that, just screws on like that. And then we'll screw the Nautilus onto it. Now, how mad does that look? I mean, it is so top heavy. But there's something about it. But to me, actually, when I look at it, you know, the first time I put it on to have a look, all I could think of was those old Commando comics that I used to read when I was a kid. And it looks like those long-handled or grenades, the potato masher grenades. You know, it's just mad looking. But it works, and it works fine. Works perfect. Wouldn't be my styling now, but at the same time, you know, at least they did think of it. You know, that some people out there are just going to have eco-style batteries, and if they buy one of these and it arrives, they want to try it on something straight away. I think many people, after trying it, they'll say, great device, but I think I better get a full 22mm mod to actually fit on the bottom of it, so it doesn't look quite as crazy as this. Now, taste-wise, as I said before, I've been a big fan of the Aspire heads anyway. But if there was one word that I had to pick to describe this in terms of its overall performance, I think the word would have to be bigger. Everything about this is bigger. So it's bigger obviously in terms of size, bigger than the normal ones that are out there. It's bigger in terms of flavour. There's a more fulsome flavour coming out of it. And yes, it is better than the other Aspires, as far as I'm concerned. You know, there is a bigger flavour coming out, even though the other ones are great as well. And then the other thing is that there's the vapor in it is big as well. And obviously you can affect the amount of vapor. You know, the bigger the hole, the more air that's coming in, the more vapor you're going to get as a consequence. But the overall experience for me with this is bigger. It's just bigger flavor, bigger vapor, in a bigger glasomizer. So that's really all I can say, other than the fact that, would I recommend it? I would recommend it. If you can go to paying €33, you know, I would certainly recommend this. I think this is, I really think it's fantastic. One of the best things I've tried. I've been using it solid for about 3 days now, and it hasn't let me down at all. I've got a tiny, if once you get down to about below 1 mil within this, you know, 5 mil tank, but down to about 1 mil in it, there's a little bit of gurgling, but nothing near as bad as you know, you get in some of the other ones that are out there, some of the smaller ones. So all in all, I would have to say, if you can go to the €33 or whatever it costs in your market, if you can live with the look of it, which I certainly can, I think that this is a winner. I really do. And in my opinion, I would think that it's something well worth getting hold of. And not even just for people who don't want to do rebuildables, just for ease of use, for people who do rebuild as well. Just to have something which is just dead handy there, with a very big tank on it, that you can just stick in your pocket. It's not going to leak. They're leak proof, all of these ones. I think it's a business. So that's it really. So all I can say is thank you again for watching. Hope you found some of it interesting, and we'll catch you again soon. Cheers.